This is a lot of books. A lot of books. So, we are back. We are doing a library haul, which is why you saw all of those books. I think there's like 22, 21, 20 something. I want to say 22 because that's my favorite number. So we'll just go with that. It may not be. But yeah. So we're back. We're doing another video. I am filming on my camera, so hopefully the lighting is better. I have been filming on this, which I mean can be convenient, but I was just so irritated by the lighting. And I'm sure you all did not want to hear me keep rambling about the lighting. So I came up with a solution. But let's get started into this book haul, the library edition. I guess that's what we're calling it. So book number 1, and I'm sure I'm going to lose count, is A Princess in Theory by Alyssa Cole. It is part, actually let me do it here, It is part of her Reluctant Royal series. I spoke about this before, but if you didn't see that video, Naledi, she is a PhD student getting her degree in epidemiology and public health or something along those lines. She keeps getting these emails saying, you know, her African prince is waiting for her. They've been betrothed since they were children, and she's thinking it's a scam. And then it turns out not to be a scam. And in their home country, which that's the Solo? The Solo? I think that's what it is, the Solo. We're going to say the Solo. Has a health crisis going on, public health crisis. So she goes back, but then she's also has to deal with like having this husband that she never met, meeting the distant family that she didn't know she had because she was orphaned. So yeah, it's really good. I really enjoyed it. The second part, not the second part, the second book in the Reluctant Royal series, A Duke by Default, came out yesterday, and I can't wait to start reading that. The Best, yes. So I already read this. It's an inspirational book by a Christian writer. She lives in North Carolina, and she is president of the Proverbs 31 ministry. But this was just really inspirational and kind of like feeds your soul, feeds your spirit. So if you need something about that and how to like make decisions and be confident in them, give this a try. So we have An Extraordinary Union by Alyssa Cole, a Civil War novel. So it's historical. It's a historical romance fiction, and I'm always a little iffy about historical romances that have black people, because it's like, that was not a good time in history. But this surprised me. The main character, Elle, is actually based on a real life person, so Cole did a bunch of research behind it. Why am I blanking? I'm gonna leave this in because you can see me blank. But she did a bunch of research behind the real life characters and what it was like to have spies in the Union. Well, have spies infiltrate the Confederate for the Union and work to overthrow them. And there's a romance between Elle, who is pretending to be enslaved, and Malcolm, who is a white spy for the Union. He's actually a soldier. So there's a lot of discussion about power dynamics and race, and Elle has an eidetic memory. Eidetic memory, I think I'm saying that right. So she could remember anything that she hears or sees like that, like forever. And how she saw it as a gift and a curse. So yeah. They Come in All Colors by Malcolm Hanson. And this is about a boy who was born in '62 to a black mother and a white father in the South, fast forward like to his youth. They're back in, well, not back, but they're in the North, and he's attending a prep school, and race really becomes an issue with him, and he has to deal with like a coming of age and coming to fruition, and I guess acceptance with his blackness and being biracial and what it means to be in all these white spaces. So yeah, I have not finished this book. I keep putting it down, but I do enjoy the writing, so I'll give you a full review after that. But isn't the cover so pretty? I really love the cover, and that's why I got the hardcover, a physical book, so I could take a photo for the blog. Then we have, why didn't I do these in order? The second book in a novel of the Civil War, A Hope Divided. And this is about Marley and Malcolm's brother. What was his name? Ewan. Ewan. I think I'm pronouncing it right. It's a Scottish name. But Marley is biracial. She knows that her mother was enslaved and got her freedom, and that her biological father was white and he was a slave owner, and that he gave them their freedom. And her mom is like a voodoo herbal woman, and she lives with her until she's like 12, and she sends her away to live with her sister and that family because she knows that her daughter has an extraordinary mind and science gift, and she wants her to learn languages and be as educated as possible and take advantage of as much privilege as she can for being half white. But then the brother and his wife is all for the Confederate, so she doesn't think that Marley should be in the home and doesn't understand why they have her around, and it makes things really difficult for her. And they were helping with the Underground Railroad, so there's all these different pieces of coming together. Once again, really researched part of the history, and okay, not tastefully, because I hate when people say, oh, it's tasteful, but thoughtfully handling the power dynamics, the racial structures, the racial dynamics that these characters are experiencing and working through as far as the romance goes. What is this one? This is Emotional Design by Donald Norman. This is a book I want to read for UX and UI design and coding and stuff. So kind of like on the artistic side, it's one of those books that was on a suggestion list of things you should read before you enroll in an HCI or UX program. So that's why I have that. That's not why I have this. I feel like there's another one, but I was going to do this all together, but it's not. So we have option B, Facing Adversity, Building Resilience, and Finding Joy by Sheryl Sandberg and Adam Grant. Now, if you read my blog, you know I'm not a big lean-in person. I was not for it at all. But, oh look. Please check me out. This is one of my placeholder receipts. But I kept saying this, and I was like, I like to give people room to grow, and I want to see if Sandberg's ideology and her writing has grown, and if there's something I feel that I can get from it as a non-privileged, as a non-white privileged woman. I feel like you understand what I'm trying to say, but basically, she wrote this after the death of her husband. And death changes people, so I want to give her room to grow. This book, How to Be Yourself, Quiet Your Inner Critic, and Rise Above Social Anxiety. I've talked a lot on my blog about how I have anxiety and imposter syndrome and all that good stuff, and I saw this, this is by Ellen Hendrickson, PhD, and I saw this on Goodreads, and I've seen a few people recommend it, and so I thought this would be a good book for me, sort of like self-help, some tips, because we're always learning and growing and all that good crap, right? Or we should be, at least I think. The Heads of Colored People by Nafissa Thompson Spires Stories. So this book right here, I saw on NetGalley, and I wanted it so desperately, but my rating was not high enough. so I did not get it. But this is a compilation of stories. I think there's about 8 or 9 of them, and it's just different interactions about race and motherhood, but mainly just blackness, and the things that go in our lives and how we navigate this world. She has a PhD from Vanderbilt. So I was really just interested because I saw the cover is what attracted me on NetGalley, and I really wanted it, but I didn't get it. But I was like, I'm still gonna read it, and if I like it, I will actually buy a copy. But isn't the cover art so pretty? I love that it's like the faces of different colors. Huh. And this is Colson Whitehead, The Underground Railroad. This book has been talked about a lot on social media. I feel like in one of my hate speech class, someone actually did a paper on this. I could be wrong. I could be very wrong. But it follows the lives of people who are in the Underground Railroad who experienced it. As you saw, this was on Oprah's book club. He has another book, Sag Harbor, that I'm on the wait list for that I want to read. I have the ebook of this book, but it's just been sitting there, like so many of my ebooks do. But as you see, I'm on a race, gender kind of roll, and so I was like, let me let me pick it up. I might actually read a physical copy of it, and if not, I'll still have it for flat lays. But I think this would be a good book for anyone who wants to learn about American history, wants to learn more about the black side of American history and slavery and the Underground Railroad in a tasteful way that you feel is very well researched. Okay, we have more books, y'all. These are all the ones that were like in that stack that you saw at the beginning. We still have this whole bag of books. When I went to go pick them up, it was really funny actually, because the librarian was like, oh, you're the other B last name, because whoever was before me, Burgos, I think it was, or something like that, they said they took up a whole shelf, and I took up like a half a shelf or a shelf, and I think it may have been a whole shelf too because it spilled over to the next one. And they were like, girl, are you gonna read all, well, they said, sweetheart, are you gonna read all these books in 2 weeks? And I was like, I'm not reading all of them. But even if I wasn't, I had the review option. But we just laughed and chuckled. So this one, The House Girl by, oh well, damn, okay. So it's present day and past day. It's like back in slavery and modern. And this woman has to do a research project for law, and she's looking at a case of reparations. That's what it is. That's what this book is about. And someone I follow on Bookstagram had this, and I was like, oh my gosh, it sounds so good. I want to read it. Now I remember. And plus, I like the green of the cover. I think this may be one of my books for POC-A-THON. Yo, this rain is serious. But yeah. So this book, Marry Him, A Case of Settling for Mr. Goodenough by Lori Gottlieb. I know she's Jewish. And this is about a woman who refused to settle when it came to marriage and finding the right partner. And it talks a lot about sort of mating. And if you don't know what a sort of mating is, it's marrying your equal in terms of socioeconomic background and education and things like that. And just encouraging women not to settle, which I think a lot of times we're forced to. If you were ever a part of Natural Hair YouTube and you've heard of Kim A-Tube, she talks a lot about black women and a sort of mating and not settling and marrying up. And this is one of the books she recommended. And I did not want to buy the ebook. So the library finally had it. Or it was finally not in use. Tiffany Sly lives here now. This is on my summer reading list. I've talked about this before. It's about a girl who is orphaned while her mother dies, and then she has to go live with her biological father, and she has mental health issues, which is a very poor synopsis, but I feel like I've rambled on and on about this. And I will actually link y'all to another video or to a book review of this. But I love the cover art because homegirl has braids. And this is when I wish I hadn't taken my twist out, because then I could be like, aw, twinsies. But not. Then we have The Bells, which I'm currently reading in e-format, but I wanted a book, a hardcover, a physical copy, because it's just so pretty and so colorful. And I'm so glad I did, because we get a map. And I think the map and the cover is helping me with the world building more. So I really appreciate that. But if you don't know about The Bells, it's by Donnell Clayton, who is a librarian and the co-founder of Cake Literary. And it basically oh, I love that this was not classified as African American like these were, instead of romance. But that's another story for another time. But back to this. It is about this land, can't remember the name of the country, but everyone is born ugly, and then you have the people who are born pretty and they have magical powers and they can make people pretty. But it's a examination of like race and privilege, pretty privilege, monetary privilege as well, because clearly the people who have more money can afford to get these services done and to get their skin not to be a dull gray and their hair not to be brittle. And I am losing my voice, so let's drink some water. And yes, I know water bottles are terrible. I'm trying to do better. But yeah, I just really like the cover of this book, y'all. It's so pretty. You see, I lost count. I stopped keeping track. Homegoing by Yagazi, it takes you from the 1800s to present day. These two sisters, one ended up becoming enslaved, and it follows her path and the path of all of her descendants, and then another sister who ended up staying, I want to say, were they in Ghana? I really want to say they were in Ghana. I don't know why I'm blanking. Yeah, it was in Ghana. Who ended up staying in Ghana, and what her life was, and the life of her descendants, and this rain is some BS. So I hope you can hear me, because I would hate to have to refilm this. But the life of her descendants as well. And it beautifully intertwines these two sisters whose paths started together but very much diverged. And what it's like for the African experience, but also the African American experience, and colonization and civil rights and the oppressions that Black people face, and our resilience and family building and community and all those things. And this book deserves a proper review from me. So this is going to be another one. This also, I have books, so I can do individual reviews and hold them like this instead of forgetting to insert a photo. And then we have my favorite, which I'm still buying this book in hard copy because I'm so in love with it. But Song of Blood and Stone by L. Penelope. I keep talking about this in every video, and I'm sure y'all like, girl, shut up about that damn book already. But it's just so good. And look at the cover. Look at the art inside. I'm going to link y'all to L. Penelope's explanation of it and what it all means, because y'all, it's insightful. If you don't know, if you have not heard me ramble about this book before, oh, someone left their bookmark. But if you have not heard me ramble about this book, it is about two countries who were once one people. They split off because there was a civil war. They had mountains between them. The girl on the front cover, Jasmine, it is up to her to save their countries from all-out war and just being ripped apart, because she needs to wake up the mother, the queen, the goddess person, and kind of stop the father. This book, The Rules Don't Apply, a memoir by Ariel Levy. I really do not remember why I wanted this book. I feel like something happened. I don't remember if she was the one who ended up losing her baby or getting divorced or something like that. But I just remember this was on my Goodreads, and I checked the library, and it was there, and I said, ooh, let me get it and read it. Plus, I like the cover. I will pick up a book sometimes just for the cover, and if I don't like it, oh well. The Design of Everyday Things by Don Norman. So this is the first book I'm going to read as far as like UX and UI goes and design, before I read the other one. But once again, this is just something that was on the list of people who are thinking about that part of tech and creativity should read. Sing, Unburied, Sing, a novel, Jasmine Ward. I don't even remember what this is about. I just know it came out last year, and I kept seeing the cover everywhere. And like I said, I really like the covers of books. And it's very colorful. It has the birds. So I was like, hey, I'll read it. Let's see. Oh, she went to the University of Michigan. Go Blue. Oh, she also went to... Oh, she's a professor at Tulane. Oh. This is about someone who is in Mississippi. Present day. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. So some more Blackness. Pretty much any book that I have, it's either going to be like inspirational, get your life together something, or Blackness. Halsey Street, I've read this. I've talked about this. I just need to take more pictures of it. Everything I Never Told You by Celeste Ning. I really hope I'm saying her last name right. Once again, I have the book. I just wanted to take a copy of it. And An American Marriage by Tayari Jones. This is the large print because I didn't feel like waiting on the other one. I also have this book in ebook format. But this is the last one. Yay, my bag is empty. I am so scatterbrained, y'all. But basically, this book is about a couple and they're in the South. Her husband, I remember her name, he's like a self-made man, and she came from a family of privilege. He ends up getting arrested and sentenced wrongly. And so it goes through what is it like to stay with someone who was wrongly convicted and you know they're innocent, but also having to live your life and deal with all the pressures of people thinking your husband is a convict and what happens with that, and for him, how prison affects him, and what happens when his sentence is overturned. But she sort of kind of moved on with her life and found a new way to cope. So yeah, those are all the books in my library haul. I hope this was not too long. It probably is though, because everything I've recorded is long. If you've read any of these books, if you watched any of this video, kudos to you. If you've read any of these books, I would love to know. If you have any library haul videos, let me know because I can go watch them. Yeah, I can't wait to start taking photos of these and sharing them with you all on my Instagram. So you should be following me on Instagram. I am not making a bookstagram. It's just going to be a mix. My blog, Instagram already because I already have 2 other Instagram accounts and I don't feel like managing a 4th. That's too much. What is this? But yeah, so that's it. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a fabulous day and that life treats you well and that it is not raining wherever you are. So yeah.